Hello everyone, today we're traveling to the stormy western coast of Scotland, to a lonely cluster of rocks known as the Flannan Isles. Here, over a century ago, 3 lighthouse keepers vanished without a trace. No bodies were found, no signs of struggle, only eerie clues left behind inside the lighthouse. This is the haunting mystery of Eilean Mòr, the phantom lighthouse keeper. It was December 1900, and the North Atlantic was restless with winter storms. The Flannan Isles lighthouse had been newly built only a year earlier, designed to warn ships away from the jagged rocks that claimed countless lives. The lighthouse was manned by 3 keepers, Thomas Marshall, James Ducat, and Donald MacArthur. These were experienced, disciplined men, used to the isolation and the fury of the sea. Every few weeks, a supply ship would bring food, oil, and letters from the mainland. On December 15th, a passing ship reported that the Flannan light was dark. That was strange. It was supposed to shine every night without fail, but the weather was brutal, so no one could reach the island for several days. When the relief ship Hesperus finally arrived on December 26th, the crew was unprepared for what they would find. As they approached the lighthouse, the captain blew the horn. No response. The landing platform was empty. Usually, one of the keepers would wave in greeting. When they climbed the steps to the building, the door was locked from the inside. They broke in and began to search. Inside, everything seemed eerily normal at first. The beds were neatly made. The clock on the wall had stopped. The kitchen table was set for a meal, as if someone had been about to eat. But there was one disturbing detail. One of the chairs was toppled over, as if someone had stood up suddenly and never returned. In the coatroom, 2 of the men's oilskins were missing, but the third was still hanging on its peg. Whoever had left the lighthouse last went out into the storm without a coat. The relief keeper, Joseph Moore, was shaken to his core. He said the silence inside the lighthouse felt as if the men had just stepped outside and would return any moment, but they never did. The logbook provided the first chilling clue. On December 12th, the entry read, "Severe winds the likes of which I have never seen. The men are nervous." The next day's entry was even stranger. "Storm still raging. James is crying. Donald has been very quiet." These were hardened men, not known for fear or emotion. The final entry on December 15th read simply, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." After that, silence forever. An investigation was launched by the Northern Lighthouse Board. Inspectors arrived to examine every inch of the island. They found that at the western landing, a set of steep cliffs hammered by waves, iron railings had been twisted out of shape, and a supply box had been smashed open. It looked as if a powerful storm or massive wave had struck the area with terrifying force. The official explanation concluded that 2 men had gone down to secure the gear during a storm, and when they didn't return, the third went after them and was also swept away by the sea. It was a tidy answer, but many doubted it. The weather reports from the mainland showed no storms on December 15th. In fact, the sea had been calm. So what really happened to the 3 lighthouse keepers of Eilean Mòr? One theory suggests that one man may have suffered a psychological breakdown from isolation. The logbook mentions fear and crying. Maybe paranoia set in, leading to an argument that turned violent. Perhaps one man killed the others and was then taken by the waves himself. But there were no bloodstains, no signs of struggle, and no bodies ever washed ashore. Another theory blames a rogue wave, a massive wall of water that can rise suddenly from a calm sea. These waves can reach over 100 feet tall. If one crashed against the island, it could have swept the men away in seconds, leaving no trace. But again, one man's coat was still hanging inside. Would an experienced keeper step out into hurricane winds without protection? Then came the stranger theories. Some locals claimed the men were taken by supernatural forces. The island had long been feared as haunted. Before the lighthouse was built, shepherds who visited to graze their sheep would leave offerings of bread and milk for spirits said to dwell among the rocks. Many believed Eilean Mòr was cursed, a place where the sea and sky met and strange voices could be heard in the wind. There were even whispers of alien abduction, an idea that gained traction in the 20th century when people started connecting the case to UFO sightings in the region. Some claimed glowing lights had been seen near the lighthouse around the time of the disappearance. Others believed the men were pulled into another dimension, vanished into the mist, as if reality itself swallowed them whole. Years later, a writer named Wilfred Wilson Gibson penned a famous poem inspired by the mystery called Flannan Isles. It captured the eerie silence and the haunting absence the relief crew felt upon their arrival. His words made the story legendary, echoing through generations. In the decades that followed, many visitors claimed to feel strange sensations on the island. Cold spots, phantom footsteps, whispers in the wind. One modern lighthouse technician even said he felt watched the entire time he was there. The Flannan Isles remain uninhabited to this day. What makes this story so haunting isn't just the disappearance, but the atmosphere of the place itself. Imagine standing in that remote lighthouse, surrounded by miles of roaring ocean, with the walls shaking under the wind. The isolation could drive anyone to the edge of reason. Did the men succumb to madness? Did the sea claim them in one last furious wave? Or did something far stranger happen? Something beyond human understanding? In 2019, a film called The Vanishing was inspired by this real event. It explored the idea of greed, guilt, and desperation, suggesting the men found a lost chest of gold washed ashore, leading to murder and madness. But that's only fiction. The true story still refuses to be solved. No final evidence has ever been found. No human remains, no personal belongings, nothing but a lighthouse standing alone against the endless sea. The mystery of the Flannan Isles remains as deep and dark as the ocean itself. So the next time you see a distant light flickering on a stormy night, think of the keepers of Eilean Mòr, 3 men who vanished into legend, leaving only whispers and unanswered questions behind. Were they victims of nature, or of something far stranger that came from the waves? Perhaps the lighthouse itself remembers, its beacon still turning, silently keeping watch for those who never returned. And maybe, just maybe, when the wind howls across the Atlantic, their voices can still be heard, calling out from the darkness.